So, G2 vs T1 just finished a few minutes ago. This was day 4 of the MSI knockout stage and the last best of 5 for the round 1. And I gotta tell you, that series was everything that I hoped it would be. Surprisingly, most people were predicting a 3-0 or a very convincing T1 victory here. I predicted T1 3-2, and that's exactly what ended up happening. G2 and T1 always play each other very closely. They're always very competitive games, and I knew that G2 would have something prepared. The thing that I was most excited for this series that ended up happening was the lack of lane swaps. We only actually got lane swaps in Game 5, and it was actually quite riveting because of how it was navigated from G2's side. So that was really enjoyable to watch throughout the whole series, just being able to see straight up lane matchups. Going down the line, top lane, Broken Blade actually gapped Zeus, I'd say pretty consistently throughout the entire series. Jungle, I'd say, was pretty even. Both of them had their ups and their downs for sure. Caps gapped Faker for the majority of the series, with the exception of Game 5, really. Faker's Ahri came in absolutely clutch. That's just why you call him the GOAT, really. He just knows how to win in those clutch circumstances. And then the bot lane, I'd say, was probably the biggest gap of the series in favor of T1. Mickey's first 2 games were atrocious. His last couple games were really good. And Hansama, for the most part, was kind of just there. He didn't really do a whole lot. And in his opportunity to carry in Game 5, he refused to build LDR and just got one shot by Cassante the entire game. So overall, I'm really, really pleased with that series. It was super, super close. And, what I've been asking for from Western teams this entire tournament is just being competitive and challenging the Eastern region teams. And that's exactly what G2 did here today. Obviously, I didn't predict them to win, but I predicted it to be a 3-2, and that's what it was. And, along with PSG taking BillyBilly to 5 games yesterday, maybe we are seeing some more competitive series between Western teams and wildcard regions and the Eastern teams, which is really, really great to see. And so, moving on into round 2, I'm just going to quickly run through my predictions here. This series has an updated 3-2, but T1 will be facing BillyBilly, and G2 will be dropping down here to face PSG. So starting with the lower bracket matchups, Fnatic versus Team Liquid, which I believe is the first one tomorrow, actually. I think that this is going to be really convincing for Fnatic. Honestly, I don't even want to give Team Liquid the benefit of the doubt here that they can take a game off. So I'm just going to go ahead and say 3-0 in favor of Fnatic. They have superior players in every position. Their jungle mid has been looking really, really strong this tournament. And Team Liquid just looked absolutely abysmal in their last matchup versus TES. I'm not expecting anything from North America this tournament. FlyQuest flopped out and looked atrocious. Team Liquid looked horrible against Top, like I said. So I think that should be a pretty clean 3-0 for Fnatic. The odds that they give a game away by inting or overextending in some capacity, can definitely happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-1, but at the very least, I believe it'll be a very clean 3-0 or 3-1 for Fnatic. And then G2 versus PSG, I'm actually really excited to see because obviously PSG took BillyBilly to 5 games in a really, really tight series, and that was really exciting. So this is actually, I think, is going to be a much closer series than people give it credit for. With how G2 showed up today and how PSG showed up the other day, I think that this is going to be a really close series. So I'm going to actually give it to G2 3-1, but I think that it will be much more competitive than a 3-1 final score will indicate. I think the games are going to be very close, very contested, but I think G2 really just has the edge in their macro play, their decision making, and I think they'll just have a superior team play and coordination in that sense, and that's what will be able to make them victorious. So moving up onto the upper brackets matchups, we have GenG versus Top, which is really, really exciting. I do want to point out here that this is much more exciting than last year's MSI because this year we have cross-regional matchups. We got GenG, Fnatic, BillyBilly. No one is playing their same region. and especially here in round 2, China versus Korea in both rounds, which is really, really exciting. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. But for GenG versus Top, this is going to be a really, really close series. I think the X factor here is Top Esports bottom lane. If they can put Jackie Love in a position to win, then they have a chance to win the series. If not, then GenG is probably just going to out macro them and outplay them in team play. So I'm going to give it to GenG 3-1. But I would not be surprised if Top ends up winning this series. It really all depends on whether or not Jackie can carry the team, because he's pretty much been the entire team so far. 369 is always a rock in the top lane. Tiana's very good. Cream has been showing up well, but really the heart and soul of this team is in the bot lane with Jackie Love. If he can get on something strong early game, like the Lucian, like the Kalista, he's proven very well on that stuff. So again, if Jackie Love is put in a good position, Top can win. If not, I think GenG just is the superior team and will have the overall advantage. So with that being said, 3-1 GenG I think is a pretty fair assessment there. And then for T1 versus BillyBilly, this is actually a really close matchup, but from what I saw in both of their best of fives, I'm just going to give it to T1 3-1. And I do believe that they're just going to be the superior roster. No one expected BillyBilly to, have to go to 5 games versus PSG. And, I do believe G2 is a better team than PSG anyways. And T1 was able to squeak out that series 3-2. T1 also got the play-in experience, so they feel much more comfortable on stage, whereas BillyBilly just had their first series a few days ago on stage. Getting used to the environment is actually a very underrated portion of competition. So I think that this matchup is going to be close. I think a lot of it's going to come down to the bot lanes. Gumayushi Keria, Elk is obviously a beast. So I think a lot of it's going to come down to the bot lane, which team can get their hands on Lucian Nami, or Lucian in general. And it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think the top sides for both teams are pretty evenly matched. Zeus versus Bin is going to be a banger matchup, both insane players, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if their matchups are more tank oriented and stability oriented, and then we're probably going to see very aggressive double marksman Lucian Nami lanes in the bot lane, along with early game strong early game junglers to play around that, like the Xin Zhao and the Vi, probably some Sejuani as well. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. This one's probably the one I'm least sure about in all of my predictions, but I want to give it to T1 3-1 just because I think that they have the clutch factor, and Faker just knows how to win, and that's really what it comes down to on stages like this. We just saw it in Game 5 versus G2. Faker was absolutely clutch, played out of his mind on that Ahri, and I think that their momentum from this series is going to carry them at least one more round, and will take them to victory against BLG. So running through my predictions once again, in the lower bracket, I have 3-0 Fnatic over Team Liquid. I have 3-1 G2 over PSG. And then in the upper bracket here, I have 3-1 GenG over Top, and 3-1 T1 over BillyBilly. Either way, no matter what ends up happening, these are all really exciting matchups. Again, the cross-regional matchups are always super exciting to check out, and that's really what international competition is for, seeing who's the best in the world. So it's great that we don't have same region matchups like last year, and this is just shaping up to be a really, really exciting MSI, especially with the emergence of PSG being able to challenge BillyBilly, and G2 really overperforming in most people's eyes, being able to challenge T1 like they did, unlike any other Western team has thus far. So that was really great to see from G2. Anyways, that's all I got. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the G2 T1 series this morning, and what your thoughts are on the rest of the tournament, and some predictions for round 2 of the knockout stage. Thanks for watching. See you next time.